Today we'll study a little bit about unisexual flower and pollination, self-pollination. Here you can see a male flower in unisexual flower. That means only male reproductive part or female reproductive part will be present on a flower. So here we are watching a male flower. In this, androecium will be present and gynoecium will be absent. So here you can see the green sepals, the yellow petals, but the female part will be absent. We'll move into the flower. We'll watch the androecium which is present inside it. Here you can see the androecium and pollen grains are produced inside this androecium. We have already studied that. This is the male reproductive part of the flower. So this is a male flower. This is a pumpkin flower. And you can see some ants and some other insects over here. They are drinking nectar and they are moving. You can see them moving through this androecium. And when they are moving, the pollen grains which are produced in this androecium, it will be falling on their body. So they are collecting pollen grains, and then afterwards they will be moving towards the female flower and they will be dusting these pollen grains onto the stigma of the female flower. So here all the other parts are present except the gynoecium. So you can see the ants moving. They have collected pollen grains. Here in pumpkin, these small insects are helping in pollination. So in pumpkin, it is self-pollination. And here, the pollen grains, that means in self-pollination, the pollen grains are carried from the anther or androecium, that is the male reproductive part of the plant, to the stigma or the gynoecium, which is the female reproductive part of the plant of the same plant. The flowers will be on the same plant. That is, male flowers and female flowers will be on the same plant. And we have come across a female flower. Here you can see the ovary. This is the thing which is absent in male flower. Ovary won't be there. It is a part of the female reproductive organ. Calyx, corolla, that means sepals and petals are present. And in the inner part, you can see the stigma. It is part of the female reproductive organ. So this is a female flower, female pumpkin flower. And you can see ants and some other insects. They will be dropping the pollen grains here on the stigma. You can see the stigma clearly now. So when they are drinking nectar, their body will come into contact with the stigma and the pollen grains will be falling over there. Later on, these pollen grains will germinate, form pollen tube, and fertilization will be occurring in this female flower. That we'll study a little bit later. So now we have studied pollination, self-pollination, which is occurring in pumpkin plant. Now after pollination, after fertilization, the ovary will be becoming the fruit. So we'll search for a female flower where fertilization has already taken place. Pollination and fertilization has already taken place. Here it is. Here pollination has occurred, fertilization has occurred, and the ovary has started becoming the fruit, that is the pumpkin which we eat. And later on these parts, that is the calyx, corolla, all those parts will wither off. That means they will dry and they will fall off. Okay, so we will search for a small bud. Yes, here it is. This is a female flower's bud. You can see the ovary. and calyx and corolla won't be visible because it's still a bud. Later on, when it blooms, we'll be able to see the colorful parts like the corolla. Here we are having a small bud.